Ever wonder why some people remain energetic and thriving into their 90s, while others start to lose their spark by 75? Research reveals that genetics account for only 20% of healthy aging. The remaining 80% comes down to 5 critical choices most seniors unknowingly get wrong. These aren't complex medical mysteries, but simple daily decisions that either build resilience or quietly drain vitality. This message could change everything for anyone approaching or already in their golden years. To show you why, we'll follow the remarkable story of Margaret, a 68-year-old retired librarian who discovered her healthy lifestyle was actually setting her up for decline. Her wake-up call came during a routine doctor's visit that revealed shocking truths about her daily habits. What she learned and changed afterward didn't just improve her health, it transformed her entire outlook on aging. The second mistake affects nearly 8 out of 10 older adults and involves something they consume every single day. The fourth trap is so normalized in our society that most families encourage it without realizing the devastating long-term consequences. This isn't about creating fear, but about illuminating the path to vibrant longevity that too many miss. Picture yourself at 90, not just surviving, but flourishing with energy, clarity, and purpose. That vision becomes reality when you understand what Margaret discovered. Mistake number 1. The silent inflammation epidemic. Margaret's kitchen seemed picture perfect for healthy aging. Low-fat yogurt, whole grain cereals, diet sodas, and convenient frozen meals filled her refrigerator. She followed medical advice to reduce cholesterol and calories, believing she was making optimal choices. However, hidden within these healthy foods was a sinister culprit: chronic inflammation. Ultra-processed foods, even those marketed as healthy options, contain compounds that accelerate biological aging. Margaret's morning granola contained more inflammatory sugar than a candy bar. Her frozen dinners were loaded with preservatives and sodium that her aging kidneys struggled to process. Even her beloved whole grain bread contained high fructose corn syrup, disguised under different names. Research shows that consuming ultra-processed foods accelerates biological aging significantly, independent of their nutritional content. The inflammation these foods trigger doesn't just affect joints, it impacts brain function, immune response, and cellular repair mechanisms. Margaret noticed this as persistent joint stiffness, afternoon energy crashes, and increasing difficulty remembering names and appointments. The revelation came when Margaret's daughter, a nutritionist, spent a weekend reviewing her grocery receipts. Over 70% of Margaret's calories came from packaged, processed foods. This wasn't about willpower or knowledge. It was about recognizing that food manufacturers design these products to be convenient and appealing while quietly undermining long-term health. Margaret implemented what she called her real food revolution. She adopted a simple rule. If it didn't exist 100 years ago, she questioned whether she needed it. She swapped packaged snacks for nuts and seeds, replaced frozen dinners with simple meals of lean protein and vegetables, and eliminated artificial sweeteners that research now links to stroke risk in older adults. Within 3 months, Margaret's inflammatory markers dropped dramatically. Her joint pain decreased, her energy stabilized throughout the day, and her mind felt sharper. She realized that what she thought was normal aging was actually her body responding to a constant inflammatory assault from her diet. The transformation taught Margaret that longevity isn't about restriction, it's about nourishment. By choosing foods that reduce rather than promote inflammation, she gave her body the building blocks for repair and vitality instead of constantly fighting internal fires. Mistake number 2, the hydration crisis. At 68, Margaret rarely felt thirsty anymore. She assumed this meant her body needed less water, not realizing that aging diminishes thirst signals just when proper hydration becomes most critical. She was consuming maybe 3 glasses of water daily while relying heavily on coffee, tea, and the occasional glass of wine, a dangerous pattern affecting up to 28% of older adults. Dehydration in seniors isn't just about feeling parched. Research demonstrates that even mild dehydration, as little as 2% fluid loss, significantly impairs memory, mood, concentration, and reaction time. Margaret's frequent afternoon confusion, dizziness when standing, and persistent fatigue were all symptoms she attributed to aging rather than inadequate hydration. The wake-up call came during a routine blood test that showed elevated kidney markers. Margaret's physician explained that her kidneys, like those of most older adults, were working harder due to age-related changes in function. Without adequate water intake, this natural decline accelerated, creating a cascade of health problems, including increased fall risk, cognitive impairment, and higher mortality rates. Margaret discovered that proper hydration requires more than just drinking when thirsty. Older adults need approximately 1.6 to 2 liters of fluid daily from all sources, with individual needs varying based on medications, activity level, and climate. She learned that certain medications, particularly diuretics commonly prescribed for blood pressure, increase fluid needs significantly. Her solution was elegantly simple. Margaret created a hydration schedule. She began each morning with a large glass of water, kept a water bottle visible throughout the day, and set gentle reminders on her phone. She learned that herbal teas, clear broths, and water-rich foods like cucumbers and watermelon all contributed to her daily fluid needs. The results were remarkable. Within weeks, Margaret's energy level stabilized, her afternoon mental fog lifted, and her balance improved noticeably. Her follow-up blood work showed improved kidney function, and she felt more alert and capable throughout each day. Margaret now advocates for what she calls proactive hydration, drinking consistently throughout the day, rather than waiting for thirst signals that may never come. This simple change became one of the most impactful adjustments in her journey toward healthier aging. Mistake number 3, the strength illusion. Margaret believed she was staying active. She walked regularly, did light housework, and maintained her daily routines. However, she was unknowingly falling into what researchers call the activity trap, maintaining movement without challenging her muscles. By age 68, she had lost significant muscle mass and bone density, though she didn't realize it until a minor stumble resulted in a wrist fracture. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, affects up to 10% of adults over 60 and accelerates rapidly without intervention. Margaret learned that walking, while beneficial for cardiovascular health, doesn't provide the resistance necessary to maintain muscle mass and bone density as we age. She needed what scientists call progressive overload, gradually increasing challenges to her muscles. Research demonstrates that even adults in their 80s and 90s can double their muscle strength within 3 months of beginning resistance training. The key isn't intensive gym workouts, but consistent challenges that force muscles to adapt and grow stronger. Margaret's physical therapist explained that after age 50, adults lose approximately 1 to 2% of muscle mass annually without resistance training. Margaret started with what she called her strength moments, simple exercises integrated into daily activities. She performed chair stands during television commercials, carried groceries in both hands to challenge her core, and used resistance bands while watching morning news. She joined a senior fitness class where the social aspect made exercise enjoyable rather than burdensome. The transformation was profound. Within 6 months, Margaret could climb stairs without gripping handrails, carry grandchildren comfortably, and feel confident navigating uneven surfaces. Her bone density test showed improvement, and her balance scores increased significantly. Margaret's approach proved that strength training doesn't require complicated equipment or extensive time commitments. By incorporating resistance exercises into existing routines and focusing on functional movements that support daily activities, she rebuilt the physical foundation necessary for independent living. Her story illustrates a crucial truth. Muscle strength is perhaps the most modifiable aspect of aging. While we cannot stop the calendar, we can dramatically slow and even reverse age-related strength decline through consistent, progressive challenges to our muscular system. Mistake number 4, the connection deficit. After retirement, Margaret initially enjoyed the peaceful solitude of her empty house. No demanding schedules, no workplace politics, no constant interruptions. However, within months, she realized the silence had become oppressive. Days passed with minimal human interaction beyond brief grocery store exchanges. Her book club dissolved, her bridge partners moved away, and family visits became less frequent. Margaret was experiencing what researchers now recognize as one of the most dangerous threats to healthy aging: social isolation. Studies demonstrate that loneliness and social isolation increase mortality risk by 26 to 32%, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes daily. The health consequences extend beyond emotional well-being to include weakened immune function, increased inflammation, and accelerated cognitive decline. The insidious nature of social isolation lies in its gradual progression. Margaret noticed subtle changes, forgetting common words mid-sentence, losing interest in activities she once enjoyed, and feeling increasingly disconnected from the world around her. Research shows that socially isolated older adults have double the risk of dementia and significantly higher rates of depression and anxiety. Margaret's turning point came during a conversation with her daughter, who pointed out that Margaret seemed to have lost her sparkle. That honest observation motivated Margaret to actively rebuild her social connections. She discovered that meaningful relationships require intentional cultivation, especially in later life when natural opportunities diminish. Her strategy focused on quality over quantity. Margaret joined a community garden where she met neighbors with shared interests. She volunteered at a local literacy program, finding purpose in helping others while building new friendships. She learned to use video calling technology to maintain regular contact with distant family members and old friends. Margaret also created what she called connection rituals, weekly coffee dates with neighbors, monthly potluck dinners, and regular participation in community events. She discovered that the key to combating isolation wasn't having many acquaintances, but maintaining several meaningful relationships with consistent interaction. The health benefits appeared quickly. Margaret's mood improved, her vocabulary sharpened, and she found herself laughing more frequently. Her blood pressure decreased, and she reported better sleep quality. Most importantly, she regained her sense of purpose and excitement about each new day. Margaret's experience demonstrates that social connections aren't luxury items in aging. They're essential medicine. By actively cultivating relationships and maintaining regular social engagement, older adults can dramatically improve both their mental and physical health outcomes. Mistake number 5, the fixed mindset trap. Margaret had accepted certain truths about aging that were quietly undermining her potential. She believed memory decline was inevitable, that learning new skills was for younger people, and that her best years were behind her. This fixed mindset, rather than age itself, was limiting her cognitive growth and overall life satisfaction. Neuroscience research reveals that the aging brain retains remarkable plasticity, the ability to form new neural connections and even generate new brain cells throughout life. Margaret's assumption that cognitive decline was inevitable actually accelerated the very changes she feared. When we expect our minds to deteriorate, we stop challenging them, and unused neural pathways indeed begin to weaken. The breakthrough came when Margaret's granddaughter taught her to use a smartphone. Initially resistant and convinced she was too old to learn technology, Margaret surprised herself by mastering not only basic functions, but also discovering apps for brain training, language learning, and creative pursuits. This success sparked what researchers call neuroplasticity, her brain's ability to adapt and grow. Margaret embraced what she termed her learning renaissance. She enrolled in Spanish classes at the community college, taught herself to paint watercolors through online tutorials, and began learning piano, something she'd wanted to do since childhood. Each new challenge literally rewired her brain, creating fresh neural pathways and strengthening cognitive reserve. Research demonstrates that engaging in novel, challenging activities promotes the growth of new brain cells in memory centers, even in adults over 80. Margaret discovered that the key wasn't just staying mentally active, but continuously learning genuinely new skills that required sustained effort and attention. The cognitive benefits extended beyond the specific skills she learned. Margaret noticed improved problem-solving abilities, enhanced memory for daily tasks, and greater mental flexibility in handling unexpected situations. Brain scans would likely show increased volume in areas associated with learning and memory, similar to other older adults who embrace lifelong learning. Margaret's transformation from someone who believed her learning days were over to an enthusiastic student demonstrates that neuroplasticity isn't just a scientific concept, it's a practical tool for maintaining cognitive vitality throughout life. Her story proves that the brain doesn't have to decline with age when we continue challenging it with novel experiences and sustained learning efforts. Final transformation. Today, at 72, Margaret embodies what successful aging looks like when someone addresses these 5 critical areas. Her inflammatory markers remain low through mindful nutrition choices. Her hydration habits support optimal physical and cognitive function. Her strength training maintains muscle mass and bone density that rivals women 10 years younger. Her rich social connections provide emotional support and cognitive stimulation. Her commitment to lifelong learning keeps her brain sharp and engaged. Margaret's journey from gradual decline to vibrant aging illustrates a fundamental truth. The choices we make daily in our later years carry more weight than genetics in determining our quality of life. She avoided the common trap of accepting limitations that aren't actually inevitable. The most profound change wasn't physical, but psychological. Margaret shifted from viewing aging as decline to seeing it as continued growth with different challenges and opportunities. This mindset transformation, supported by evidence-based lifestyle changes, created an upward spiral of improved health and increased confidence. Her story demonstrates that it's never too late to course correct. Whether you're 60, 70, or 80, your body and brain retain remarkable capacity for positive change when given proper support through nutrition, hydration, strength training, social connection, and continued learning. Margaret now serves as proof that the question isn't whether aging brings changes, but whether those changes represent decline or evolution toward a different kind of vitality. By avoiding these 5 common mistakes, anyone can write a different story for their later years, one of continued growth, health, and joy rather than gradual surrender to perceived limitations. The path to healthy longevity isn't complex, but it does require awareness, intention, and consistent action. Margaret's transformation shows that small daily choices, compounded over time, create the foundation for thriving rather than merely surviving in our golden years. Thanks for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 areas connects most with your own journey? And what's one action you'll take this week to put it into practice? By sharing your experiences, you're helping strengthen a community devoted to living with vitality and purpose at every age. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who might be encouraged by Margaret's story and the proven strategies that helped her thrive.